why it is important to forgive our parents. So we'll start with the paradox. Children begin by loving their parents, usually. After a time, they judge them, and rarely, if ever, do they forgive them. Oscar Wilde said that. And why is that? So we will also go deeper into why. But also what I want to explain here, what does it mean to forgive, right? Forgiveness means that when you think about your parents, what they did, you don't have strong negative emotions anymore. You may feel some sadness, but you do not immediately strongly negatively react. So what are the three reasons? So the first one, I call it, do you want to carry their baggage? And what I mean by that is behaviors that you don't like, that they did not have those behaviors for them to be successful or happy in their lives, right? So what usually happens, children copy behavior of their parents or caregivers, right? Those close to them. Could be even, other elders or older siblings. And I want you to ask this question. What did you learn from your caregivers, right? What particular behaviors, maybe patterns of behavior, reactions, right? And the most important question, do you like those behaviors that you learned from them, right? And if you like them, it's fine. But if you don't like them, I think it's time to maybe investigate what to do about it. And basically think about, can we even change anything about those behaviors that we copied from our parents? Do we really want to have those behaviors for the rest of our lives? So some of you may say, no, we don't carry their baggage. However, I'll show you how it happens. When you're born as a child, we don't have emotions yet developed in our nervous system. So we don't have hurt, guilt, anger, because we have not really experienced them yet. So when we observe everything around us, right, caregivers obviously bringing us food and taking care of us, we like some things we don't like, and basically those we call emotions. Then caregivers introduce the language, right? So they label those experiences that we observed, we experienced with our bodies. And those experiences usually, we're kind of neutral in the beginning, but then when we learn the words like good or bad, right? And maybe even, fear and sadness and other things. So we already know how to label them, those reactions, those behaviors that we learned from our parents, because we looked at them and we absorbed everything. And based on the language, we clearly create behaviors, right? So because caregivers tell us, do this and don't do that. This is good, this is bad. And if you want to survive, you should continue doing this, right? So basically here comes conditioning by our parents, because they reward behavior that they think is good for us, right? And for them. Or they punish behavior that they don't want us to show. And, obviously you would look at this picture and say, yeah, so we copied everything from what they said. Where's the conflict, right? Why would there be any conflict between parents and us? So the conflict happens in two ways. First one, we're different from our parents and they try to correct us. And why we're different? Because obviously we're not the same people as them. So we usually either observe something in our environment. Maybe we go to school, we have friends, right? Or we don't like something about our parents because our bodies don't really accept that. Or we are just like them, right? We copied everything they showed us. But they say to us, oh, we want you to be better than us. We want you to be like that little Johnny in your school class who gets only good marks and on best behavior, and you are such a naughty child, right? Why don't you get better? Why don't you change? However, you copied behaviors from them. So the most important part here, do we make a decision consciously right? At some point in our lives, to be just like them or not to be like them, like our parents in certain situations. And if you say that you did make this choice, great. However, what I also heard from people that even when we try to change, we seem that there are some issues. It's really hard to change ourselves. For example, if your parents were always late, right, and you're always late, you're really trying to change it in yourself, but you may really struggle because some behaviors are not conscious, they're actually unconscious because you were conditioned for too long and you basically imprinted that behavior within yourself. Doesn't mean that you cannot change it. It may be really hard. So the second one I call the blaming game. And this is a fascinating one because first of all, if we blame parents, right, for what they did to us or the way we were, um, then we basically develop a victim mentality. We blame someone, right? We blame someone for what's happening. And usually, again, it manifests in two different ways. We either blame our parents for the way we are because they messed me up. I'm such a loser now. I can't keep up my finances straight, right? So we're not capable to solve our own problems. Or the second scenario, which is even more often, every time something is not working in our lives, we start blaming other people, like we did in the past with our parents. So instead of taking responsibility ourselves for what's happening, yes, other people behave badly, they're dishonest, they may be hurting us, but we have to take control. We just automatically transfer that responsibility to other people instead of our parents. And number three, time to grow up into adults. And I listed this really cool book here by Eric Berne. He was a psychologist, and he wrote a wonderful book, Games People Play. And essentially, it's about three things that humans have usually three voices inside them, and we call them like ego states. It's the child, adult, and parent. And again, it comes with different maturity levels, right? And he said that each person has all three voices. However, we don't know how to use them in our lives. And sometimes, maybe even when we're adults and we're with our partner, we may still use this child voice, right? Again, maybe I don't deserve this. Why do you do this to me? Instead of being more like a mature adult and talking a little bit different language. The thing here about differences between a child also and an adult is that children tend to internalize events, right? And we saw it in the video right before. So if something bad is happening to me, it's my fault. I'm bad and I deserve it. And again, here are two different ways how it happens. We either make this conclusion ourselves, or we're actually told that by our parents directly, like you are such a difficult child and you will be difficult adult, and I don't know if you'll be successful because you just cannot be obedient and behave the way we want you, right? So again, here the main question is this: are we still children or we are adults now? And it's very, very obvious sometimes in our interactions with parents or our caregivers, even if we are already away from them and many years passed, right? In our interactions, we still think that we are children, right? And in some cultures, it comes that, oh, you have to respect your elders, but it's our own life, right? So we don't have to do what they tell us when we are already grown ups. We don't depend on them. We don't live with them. And the magic trick here is that adults can become parents for themselves. Okay, if our parent wasn't a good role model, now we have to take care of ourselves. So that's it's called reparent our inner child, right? So now we have to take control. We have to be kind. We have to be fair to ourselves. We should not really listen to what our parents tell us anymore. because we're not in their power. And the second part is how should we behave with our parents? Now we should behave like adults with parents, not like children with parents. And it happens through creating our new boundaries. And I can give you an example from my life. There was tendency in my family, my mother screaming at me every time she disagreed with me. And at some point, I took control and I said, this is an unacceptable behavior. I'm not going to continue conversations if you don't calm down. We're going to stop our conversations immediately. If you want to continue our relationship, we have to have this boundary. And only when you are calm, we can discuss certain things. If not, then I will just leave. And eventually things improved. And she does not exhibit that behavior with me at all. So this is the last slide, and I want to tell you that last year I created a course, which is an online course, and it's not published yet, but I will be publishing it in 6 major sections, which will help people to go through this process, forgive their parents, self, and others. And for now, I'll sign up for my Startup Human channel on YouTube and watch other videos. So with that, I'm gonna stop sharing and I will stop recording.